Good morning, everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can you all hear me? Good. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's April 14th, 2023. Our agenda this morning, we'll start out with success stories. We'll then have everybody give their 30-second introductions. We'll then go to committee reports. We'll hear about workshop, job fairs, practice interview team, interview success workshop, and the career tip of the week. And then we will have our main event around the top of the hour. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions about the presentation, please feel free to put your questions and comments into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook this morning, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Any of your questions in the comment field, we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. 2008, I started CareerDFW.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. 2012, I launched a second website, CareerUSA.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a moment. We like to start the meeting off with good news. Do we have any landings out there? Any success stories people would like to share? Going once, going twice, anyone? All right, well, we'll keep on moving on. What we'd love for everybody to do now is please enter your information into the Zoom chat box. Please put in there, let us know who you are, give us your name, your phone number, your email address, position you're looking for, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. If you want to add your LinkedIn profile, that would be great, because it's a good idea. You can connect with other people who are on the call. But tell us who you are, and then I'll use this to update the roster. I'll send out an email this afternoon with all this information on it. Look over the list and see who can you help today. Who can you help with maybe a possible lead someplace. And for those that are here in the room, we will let you do your 30-second introductions in just a moment. Sorry about that. Come on, go. You. All righty. Let's see if I got the next slide up correctly. I do not. I'm missing a slide. Give me a second here. Find slide. All right. What we'll do now is we'll everybody who's here in person give their 30-second introduction. My name is Paul. I'm looking for project going to operation. While walking around private. That's what I'm like to great. I'm looking happy to talk to one today with one. Yeah, my name is Anthony.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chandler again. I'm a Vice President of Marketing and Strategic Alliances partnerships. I help companies grow and drive new solutions and new technologies. I am looking for contacts at cybersecurity type companies, whether it be startup or large global national or other general technology companies. Once again, my name is Jim.
Well, just do a test. They're saying they can't hear you.
Test.
Can you all hear Walt? Did you all hear Walt? Yes, no?
I can hear him, but it's really, it's cutting in and out, and it's also really low.
Okay, all right. I'm going to figure out what's going on here. All right. Hold on here. Let's see what's happening here. Is that any better? Technology.
It's great when it works.
Copy, but all right. No, all right. We'll make it work. Okay. All right. Well, we've gotten to everybody here. All right. CareerDFW and Career USA, two totally free websites that are available. Please, if you know anybody who's unemployed, please let them know about the two websites. You don't collect any personal information. Right on the very front page, if you know somebody who's recently unemployed, you can they can click right there where you see that blue arrow, and they can get a great two-page handout of what they should be doing to get started in their job search. One of the things you'll find on the CareerDFW website is a bunch of career fairs, job training classes, free classes that are going on. Just one of the several calendars that's on there. All the different colors mean something different. So if you're looking for an event to go to in person, or if you're looking for an event, a webinar to go to, or a job fair, please just check out the calendar. All right, let's talk about the practice interview team for just a second. Your resume and your LinkedIn profile is not going to get you a job. What it will get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So check out the Dallas PIT Crew. The Dallas PIT Crew stands for Practice Interview Team. It is totally free. They are there to help you to be able to have an interview and do a better job of what you're doing. The motto is practice early, practice often. You can do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable doing an interview. All you need to do is send a resume and a job description and your schedule 2 to 4 days out to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. If you want more information, just reach out to dallaspitcrew.com and you'll be able to get all the details right there. The practice interview team is meeting in person on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays. So next Wednesday, they will be meeting in person at Christ United Methodist Church in Plano, 3101 Coit, right where we're meeting here in person today. You're welcome to please come join us. There'll be no online option. So if you want to watch a real practice interview, come watch us in person. That'll be next Wednesday. 2nd, 4th, and 5th Wednesdays, we will be online, providing services online. Walt, you want to tell us about the Interview Success Workshop?
I also help it. And on how we what we so it has to be present and almost like a QR code. Like that, I'll get my general is levels. Very important. Don't learn. That's funny. Learn just respond. Then you can take it, practice, and you can practice those family members every time. Not one where it's not serious. Nobody's going to do it. Like, it's nice. Learning. Well, we just interview. Now we'll practice early reading. No cost. So,
Yeah, they're saying, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry y'all can't hear. I don't know what's going on with this handheld mic. For some reason, it just.
I couldn't hear it, but I'm sure it was beautiful.
I don't know, because we can hear in the room here. I mean, the mic sounds fine here in the room, so there must be something goofy with the system. I'll have to take a look after we get done here. All right, sorry about that. All right, it's time to hear the career tip of the week. You can check out a new tip on the CareerDFW websites. A new tip pops up every Saturday afternoon. So Rosanna, thank you for being with us, and thank you for reading it.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. All right, this week's tip of the week is dated April the 9th, and it's called Help. I got ghosted by HR after going through a million rounds of job interviews. How many of us has that happened to? Well, Work It Out is an advice column for employment-related conundrums. And so somebody wrote in, "Dear Work It Out, what do you do when you're in the running for a new job and HR ghosts you after you're going through a million rounds?" Ghosted. Dear Ghosted, I was laid off at the end of 2018, and though luckily I started a freelance job in January of 2019, that covered my bills. I was looking for something full-time and a little more permanent. An HR person had reached out to me to interview for a job at a website, and I was really interested in. And so I met with the editor who would be managing the open role. The interview went well, and I was cautiously optimistic that I'd soon have to have a job that would cover my health care. We then moved on to the next stage, an edit test comprising of 4 prompts that required me to put together, at a minimum, a 9-story idea, and then there were also images to go along. I put in the work and submitted an 11-page document. I received an email from the hiring manager that acknowledged she had received it, and then nothing. I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice. 2 I didn't follow, but wish I had, and 1 I did. First, reach out. Second, work your connections. And third, don't take it personally. There's a whole range of events that may have led to your lack of response. Yes, they could have hired someone else and not let you know, which is rude, but often just business as usual. Or they could have gotten a budget update that put hiring on hold. A staff change could have altered what they're looking for. The hiring manager could have moved on to another position or gone on a parental leave. From the outside, it's nearly impossible to know the full story. Back when I was ghosted in 2019, I saw a couple of months later that a person who interviewed me had a new job at another publication. Chances are she gave her notice. HR needed to hire for that role before the one I was interviewing for, and they were back to square one. I technically have no idea if that's true, but I never reached out. But the fact that I didn't feel compelled to follow up after weeks of silence also showed me that maybe it wasn't the right job for me, or on some level, I knew that. Someone you sent a thank you email to is more likely to remember you. So if you don't reach out to get some clarity, your first step after being ghosted or suspect you've been ghosted is to reach out to whoever was your point of contact. After that, you can reach out to anyone you talked to during the interview process with 2 caveats. First, only reach out to anyone you sent a thank you email to after your interview. And then second, only reach out once. Someone you sent a thank you email to is more likely to remember you. Even if they don't, when they search their inbox for other communication, they'll see that you followed up, and after you met with them, that hopefully that will jog their memory. Still, you only want to reach out once so that their predominant thought of you is nice person from the interview and not person who won't stop emailing me. What you're hoping for here is not necessarily that the email that they email you back with a status update. If they're not the hiring manager on the role, they're unlikely to have an intimate knowledge of where you are in the process. But as they see your email and reach out to whoever is running point, that could potentially prompt that person to get in touch. There's no guarantee you'll get a response from this, but hey, at least you've tried. With working your connections, you have to be a little bit more careful. If someone you know referred you to the job that you've been ghosted on, definitely reach out to them. They'll know what's going on because they might have a referral bonus on the line or could be incentivized to help you out. If your connection is someone you only worked with once in the past or met through networking, consider how much you want a job. Excuse me, consider how much you want the job before you reach out. On the fence about the job or just want some closure, keep your less than close contacts out of it. Even though relationships shouldn't be transactional, a lot of times in business, they are. If your main interaction with someone is asking them for help without offering anything in exchange, it's possible they'll see you as someone using them for their connections instead of a valuable professional contact. Basically, it pays to be choosy about the favors you call in. If you really want this job, it could be worth it to make the call. Just know that you might not be able to lean on that contact or that connection anytime in the near future. And then you also want to consider a helpful mental shift. The last thing to keep in mind is that when a recruiter or hiring manager ghosts you, it's very rarely about you. Don't let being ghosted feel like a reflection of your worth as a job candidate. Once you've reached out and exhausted your options, try to shift your mindset. The goal of interviews is to find a good fit for both you and the company. If they're unresponsive and making you feel insecure during the hiring process, it might not be that way. It might not be the way you'd want to start a new job regardless. So a lack of response almost always says something more about what's going on inside the company than you as a potential new hire. So that is this week's tip of the week. Like I said, dated April the 9th, and it's help. I got ghosted by HR after going through a million rounds of job interviews. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Rosanna, Rosanna, thank you very, very much. All right. Today, come join us today for lunch. Everybody needs to eat lunch. Come join us today, Country Burger. We'll be there at 11:45, 3115 West Parker Road. It's on the northwest corner at Parker and Independence. They've got burger, chicken, salad, and other things that you can grab. If you want that sandwich you see off to the left, it's around $33, but you have to bring your own ham because they don't have the ham slices. But they can prepare the rest of it for you if that's what you want. All right, in just a couple minutes here, I'm going to share my top 10 tips for job search. But I want to mention next week, we've got a really fascinating program next week. I'm sure everybody's out there has heard about GPT. Rusty Wright is going to give us a presentation next week. And there's an extra T in there, but about ChatGPT for job search. I saw his presentation a couple of weeks ago. It's really fascinating what he's found. We'll talk about the different chatbots that he's done some research on. In fact, he's become a tester of one of them. They reached out to him and they're allowing him to test the system. So That'll be our presentation next week, so it'll be really fascinating to come watch and see. All right, I'm going to share my top 10 career tips here. Let me flip a couple screens around. And let's see here. Drinks and where we going? All right, so I'm going to share sort of my top 10 tips that I think you really need to think about in your job search. There's a lot going on, a lot of things to consider. So my number 10. Number one, prepare. What do you want to be when you grow up? You know, have you done any personal assessments? I hear all the time people, you know, here in person, I'll ask people all the time, what do you want to be when you grow up? And somebody in their 50s and 60s will still say, well, I don't really know what I want to do. I'm not really sure what I want to do. You've got to sort of make that decision, what it is you want to go for, because if you don't focus in on something, it's going to be very, very difficult. If you need to take personal assessments, I know that St. Andrew, Bill Brewer over at St. Andrews, they have a personal assessment test you can take. I know there's a bunch of them out on the internet you can take. Figure out what you want to be, figure out what you want to do, and focus in on that. We had a speaker several years ago. She was a Army wife, and she decided that she wanted to join the Army. You know, her husband was in, and she wanted to decide what she could do. And so she went and she interviewed everybody on the base. What do you like about your job? What job would you pick? If you could pick any job, what would it be? And did a lot of information interview and decided that job for her was a non-commissioned attack helicopter pilot. Now, there hadn't been any of those. There hadn't been any women who had done that role in the past, but she focused in that was the job for her. She had to convince the, you know, when she went to the recruiting office saying, this is what I want, they were like, oh, no, we've got a lot of other jobs we can have you fill. But she said, nope, this is the one I want. She got into helicopter school. She actually became a pilot. But she focused in and spent her time deciding what it was that she wanted to do. Okay, number 9. Well, in the old days, it was have business cards. That was pre-COVID. And then during COVID, you really didn't need to have business cards. But now, as people are getting out now, you really do need to have them again because you're going to be meeting people in person. So the old way was you have to have business cards. The new way is have your LinkedIn profile current and fully developed because, and you really wanted this in a long time because more people are relying on job search or finding people online. So is your job profile fully developed? Does your profile tell a company how you can help them? Remember, when you're in job search, it's not what a company can do for you. I heard that a few weeks ago at a practice interview team. The person said something about, you know, I'm just looking for a company that can help me grow and blah, blah, blah. No. You're getting hired because they have a problem. You're a problem solver. How can you solve their problems? So how does your LinkedIn profile tell them how you can help them? Can someone reach out to you easily? I see so many LinkedIn profiles and there's no way for me to contact the person. Do you have your phone and email address in your about section? Just because you have it in your contact information doesn't mean that the only people who can see your contact information are first-degree connections. So if I'm not connected to that person or a recruiter's not connected to you first degree, they're not going to see how to reach out to you. A recruiter wants to pick up the phone and call somebody. They want the easiest thing to do. They don't have to sit there and type an email to you. So if you don't want to put your phone number on there, you may want to consider getting a Google Voice number. Google Voice numbers are free. So if you want to do that, that way you're not giving out your personal cell phone, but make it easy. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you're going to see that my phone number and my email address are actually built into my banner right above my head. So when you look at my profile, anybody who sees my profile, they can easily reach out to me. It's really pretty amazing when people say, well, can you send me, I found you on LinkedIn. Can you send me a number? I want to call you. You know, I want to send you an email. So, you know, check that out. Make it easy for people to reach you. Just remember, you're there. They're trying to look for you. All right, in the old days, it was have business cards, and I'm starting to think now, you know, people are starting to get back out and meet in person again. You do need to have business cards with you. You do need to carry them with you. All during the pandemic, I always had cards with me because if I would meet somebody, I would have business cards with me, ready to go. You want to leave some blank space on the back. I know some people promote that you should put some information on the back of a card. That's fine, but leave some blank space and make sure that they can write on the card, that it's not glossy on both sides, okay? Personally, I like to print my own cards. One of the things that I do is that I use the Avery Dennison 5871 cards. You can get a small pack if you go to, you know, Staples or Office Depot. I order them from Amazon because I order a larger quantity at a time. And the nice thing about Avery Dennison is that if you get their cards, and even if you don't get their cards, but you know what the style number is, that's the important thing. Currently, there's over 1,400 images that Avery has on their website, and they'll build. I mean, you can build your card. You build it one time. You tell it what format you're using and what format the print is, what the cards are, the card stock, and it will automatically take that one image and make it replicate it 10 times so you can print it. They'll save it for you. You can modify it all the time. Now, the reason I like to print my own cards and the reason I recommend that people in job search is that you may get somebody else's card and go, I like what they did. I like what they said on their card. If you've had 200 cards or 500 cards printed at, you know, Office Depot or Staples, you got a lot of cards to go through before you can change it. Where when you do the Avery Dennison cards, you can just print one sheet of 10, and then you can modify it next time. Or you can have multiple cards. Be a project manager on one card, you can be a program manager on a different card. So depending on who you meet, I have 4 different business cards that I carry with me. So depending on who I meet, I can hand out something a little bit different to customize who I'm meeting. And the most important thing about business cards is not giving them out, but it's getting them from other people. That's the most important thing. What do you want to put on your business card? Basically, name, what you want to do, phone number, email address, your LinkedIn address. If you have a logo or a catchphrase, that's great. So you don't have to put phone : and a phone number, email : and your email address. If people can't figure that out, do you really want them calling you or anything? Okay. So here's one of my business cards that I have. You know, you want your name to be the biggest. What I do, manufacturing operation professional. I have a little saying, better, faster, smarter. Everything I do, the way I look at things, the way my brain is wired is, how can I make things go better, faster, and smarter? I do have a 6 Sigma green belt, so I've got the little 6 Sigma logo on there. Phone number, email address, my LinkedIn address. And then I'm always promoting CareerDFW and CareerUSA.org. So I put that on there. If you've got a website, you can add that too. But then on the back of the card, if you want to have, you know, a few things as far as what it is you do, that's great. Now that people, hopefully you're getting back out, going to, I know there's some job fairs coming up. There's, you know, events that are going on. Get out, meet people in person, have those business cards, have them so that if somebody asks, you know, somebody asks you for your contact information, you're ready to go. You don't have to write it on a napkin or anything. All right, number 8. Analysis paralysis. One of the things I've seen over the years, I've been leading this Friday group now since 2007, so it's 15 years now, 15 years. I've seen people come here and they come week after week after week, and I ask them 2-3 months and say, how's your job search going? I don't wait, but I mean, you know, I happen to ask them. And I remember this one lady specifically, she was here 3 months, 4 months, and I said, how's your job search going? Well, I'm still working on my resume. I'm not really sure what it is I want to do. You know, she's not prepared. She's just sort of stuck. She's trying to spend too much time to get the right word on a resume. So, you know, you've got to be very, very careful in what you do. So when it comes to resumes, I have a couple suggestions. Do you have a master resume? Meaning that spend a couple hours and put together everything you've ever done since college, anything that relates to what it is you do, you know, all the addresses, the exact dates, your supervisor's name, 8 or 10 bullet points with results as far as what you've done. And then when you actually see a job description, when you see something that you're interested in, take that master resume and eliminate everything that's not in the job description, because you want that resume and that job description to line up perfectly. You want the same words, you want the keywords to match, so you can change that master resume. Now, if you have a master resume, you don't have to think about, well, you know, I did that back then, or wait, you know, I think I did something like that back in 2006. You know, if you've got all those details, and that's a document you should update every 6 months. Take a look and say, what accomplishments have I had in the last 6 months? Update that document. Remember, your resume is just a hook. It's just there to get that phone call. A resume will never get you a job. It will only get you a phone call. And as I said before, how well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. You've got to customize every resume you send out. Now, I hear different things. Some people say, oh, just customize the summary statement. You know, don't worry about the bulk, the middle of the resume, whatever. But I believe if you want to move up, if you're applying for a job online, you have got to get the most number of keywords, and you've got to make your resume match that job description. You can only do that. You can only do that if you customize your resume. Keep to the details in the job description and show results. Okay. I need to hire somebody who can answer the phone, you know, 300 phone calls a week. You're an administrative assistant. If you're somebody who just answers the phone, make sure you give me some numbers of, show me some relative statistics as far as what it is you do. How can you help me? If I need to increase my sales, I'm looking for a salesperson who can sell $1 million a year. I need somebody who can be on the road, you know, 80% of the time. Whatever those things are, show those kind of quantifying results, because you help me decide, yeah, I need somebody who could do what you do. Just remember, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have all these things up here. There we go. Sorry about that. Be sure to use dollar signs, percent, and numbers, okay? You want to make sure that you have quantified what it is you're doing, okay? Do not blindly send out a resume, okay? I think that if you just randomly sending out resumes, that's not going to work very well, because you don't know what they're looking for. I know one person in their job search, and they tell me, I never send a resume out until I've had a phone call with somebody so that I can know what they're truly looking for. Now, that's a bit dramatic because you're not going to always get that phone call. But if you can somehow find out and talk to somebody, you have a better chance of making sure you send them a resume that's going to be really good. Do not post your resume on LinkedIn. The reason for that is that you're posting a generic resume. You don't know what they're looking for. Your resume details should already be on LinkedIn. I mean, you know, what your master resume, you know, you should be sharing some of the things on LinkedIn. Once again, lots of controversy on LinkedIn. Do you show everything? Do you just show some things? Personally, I say I'm going to show everything back to my first job back in 1980 when I was working at the University of Louisville Medical School. And the reason being is that I want to be able to connect with other people who work there at the same time as me. Other people say, nope, just show the last 10 to 15 years, only show a couple bullet points per job. And that's fine if you only want to show 2 or 3 bullet points underneath each job, but tell somebody what it is you've done, how you can help them, what kind of results you had by giving them, you know, some details. One of the things I think you should consider is a 1-page bio. Okay, A one-page bio you can send out to everybody. Okay, all your networking people, you can send that any place anybody you're meeting if you're interested in something, because a bio is a different kind of document. It's a high-level document. Says, here are my major accomplishments over the years. You're not going into any specifics. You're not giving a lot of details, but you're telling somebody, this is what you can do. You can, there's many different options when you get to there. All right, tip number 7. Don't spend all day in front of a computer. A lot of people just sit in front of the computer all day. For those of you online right now, you need to come visit us. You need to be out here in person. If you live in the DFW area, come join us in person. Because when our meeting's over here, we're going to chit chat with everybody here. We're going to get to know everybody. So just remember, only 5 to 10% of jobs are found online. 10 to 15% of jobs are found using Recruiter. 75 to 80% of jobs are found networking. Who do you know? How can you get your resume into somebody's hand? If you apply for a job online, you have a 1 to 2% chance of getting a phone call. If you can network your way into a company, so you apply online because you have to apply online, but then go to LinkedIn. Who do I know who works at that company? Do I have a connection? Do I know somebody who works at that company? If you can do that, you can increase the chance of getting a phone call between 40 and 50%. Once again, you have to practice your interviewing skills so you know how to talk to the people. So just getting that phone call, that's great, but if you're not practicing your interviewing skills, it will be detrimental. So, network. So I got a question for everybody, and I'll fill this out. You can answer if you want to put in the chat box for those who are online. How much time have you spent on your resume? I just want you to think about this. Number of hours, number of days. Think about how much time have you spent on your resume? 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever that is. And the second question I then have is, how much time have you practiced interviewing? Probably what will happen is you probably spent a lot of time working on your resume, but you've not spent a lot of time practicing your interviewing skills. And believe me, I think when you practice your interviewing skills, it will make all the difference. The feedback that you can get from the practice interview team is just extremely, extremely important. All right, tip number 6. Gabrielle, you said, can you repeat which church does assessments? Yes, it's St. Andrew UMC. So tip number 6, be prepared for an interview. So I've talked about this many, many times already. You've got to practice for your interview. You've got to be able to tell star stories. Personally, I like the raw method. Tell the result, the action, and why. When somebody asks you a question, well, here is what the result was, because many people forget to tell the result because they save it at the end. Star, situation, task, action, result. So, people, I see so many interviews, I've sat through so many interviews where they tell us the situation, here's what we had to do, but they always forget the result, and we have to go and ask them as an interviewer, wait a second, so what was the result? What was it? You told me this nice 2-minute story, but you didn't tell me what the result of it was. So I like to get the result up first. I think that's a great way to do things. But there's nothing wrong with star. You've got to keep your answers to 45 to 60 seconds. Now, pre-pandemic, we used to say 60 to 90 or 90 minutes, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. When everybody went online, it got cut down to 60 to 90 seconds. And personally, I think 45 to 60 seconds is the way to go. One of the things that you can do, and I actually recommended this a few weeks ago. In fact, I just got some that I'll be bringing to the practice interview team on Wednesday. I got these little 1-minute sand timers. And if you're online, it's real easy because you can just sit there, flip that sand timer over, and you can practice your 1-minute story. Or if you see I'm about to run out of sand, you know that you need the result up. I think if it's really effective, I don't think I would take it with me to an interview. It'd be funny if you did, but I think it would be it's a great, simple tool. So if you need some, I bought a 4-pack, and maybe you want some, I'll have them next Wednesday. Otherwise, you know, you can look on Amazon. I think 4 of them are like $7, $8 is what I found on Amazon. But I think you've got to keep your answer short. And then at the end of the thing, you say, would you like to know more detail? Or did I answer your question? Because people's attention span, especially from COVID, has really shrunk. Be prepared to answer the following questions. These are the 4 questions that you're going to get asked. So just tell me about yourself. That's usually going to be an opening. Probably 80% of interviews start out with, so just tell me a little bit about yourself. Have your 2-minute story ready to go that tells you in detail what it is you want to do, and how you can help them. Mark McDonald and Walt Glass do a great job talking about that in the 13-part workshop, the very thing about opening statements. So I'll refer to that if you want to do that. Why do you want to work here? I know there's a recruiter in the DFW area, and she asks every time somebody, anybody who's online, so why do you want to work here? And if the person doesn't have a good answer, they don't get moved on to the next round. So be prepared to answer that question. How much did you make at your last job? The old salary question. I know you can't ask that in all the states, and I think less people are asking that now. But what are your salary requirements? You've got to be prepared. You know, I love the answer. Well, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, this position title in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or whatever metroplex you live in, pays somewhere between $72,000 and $94,000 a year. And you can even set it, instead of giving exact numbers, you can say low 70s to mid 90s. Okay. I'm sure that whatever you're going to pay will be fair and equitable. Would you mind sharing your pay range? So throw it back on them. If you quote statistics that you've done some research already, you showed somebody that you prepared the answer. And then why did you leave your last job? You know, the job before that, or the job before that. I had the worst interview ever once. It was a company, it was a pillow company moving here from the Pittsburgh area. And I met with the owner of the company, the head of HR, and the guy who had been my boss, a manufacturing manager who lived in Salt Lake City. And all they did was go through my resume from the very bottom, the last job I had listed on the resume, up to the current job. And their only question for each job was, why'd you leave that job? It was just a horrible interview. Back then, I didn't know what I know now. I would have sort of taken control of the interview to make things work a bit better. But no, why'd you leave your last job? If you have a tough time answering that question, feel free to reach out. There are people out there who can help you answer that question and practice it. Be prepared for those 4 questions. When you're prepared for an interview, I love this 10+1. This is Ron's 10+1 thing. You want to have 10 questions ready to ask, and you need to write them down. You know, if you have a portfolio, you know, you open it up. I think take, you know, the bottom half of the piece of paper, write those 10 questions down at the very, very bottom. And then the very last question is, the +1 is, be sure to remind yourself to ask for the job, ask what the next steps are going to be. When you have those 10 questions written down, quite frankly, if I see you do that, I go, man, you are really prepared. You have researched, you know what's going on. You know, if I see them when you open your portfolio up, it's really great. The object is to get half those questions answered during the interview. And then at the end, if they ask you, do you have any questions? At least you've got, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 more that you can ask. So, you know, you want to make the interview a conversation. So if you can ask questions during the interview, that'd be great. Now, with the very first interview you get, when somebody calls you up from HR online, they got to knock out their 10 questions before they can answer anything you do. So just know that in that case, you're not going to have a lot of chance to ask questions. And plus, you're not really be prepared because they're just calling you out of the blue. But if you're going in for a sit-down interview, or you're going to have a Zoom interview online, prepare questions that you want to ask that are pertinent to the job. So if you want to practice your interviewing skills, reach out to the Dallas Pit Crew. You can go to dallaspitcrew.com for more information. We've talked about the Pit Crew already. I just think it's just very, very valuable. You can get a Zoom interview Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Just reach out, send in your resume and a job description, and you're scheduled 2 to 4 days out. If you want an in-person interview, we're doing them on the first and third Wednesdays at Christ United Methodist Church, 3101 Coit Road, southwest corner of Parker and Coit in Plano, Texas. So next Wednesday, we will be here in person if you'd like to schedule an interview for that. That's at 1 p.m. Oh, good. Thank you very much. I need to add that on there. I'll modify this slide and add 1 p.m. Okay, tip number 5. You can't stumble when somebody asks, tell me about yourself. But what do? You got to be prepared. You know, this is sort of part of tip number 1, prepare, prepare, prepare. Be ready. When somebody asks, you know, tell me about yourself, or what are you looking to do, whatever, if you know, now that we're starting to get back out and networking and seeing people in person, you know, you've got to be prepared. For the what do you do? I saw this great speaker a few years ago, and I really thought it was interesting, is that you want to give them, the opening line should be something that makes them want to ask for. So in my case, my opening statement was, if somebody would ask me that, I allow small business owners the opportunity to take extended vacations. Oh, are you in the travel business? No. As a manufacturing manager, operation manager, director of operations, I take care of the day-to-day operations of what's going on in the company. So what can you do to get somebody to go, well, wait, tell me more about that? That's what you may want to think about, you know? So you want to tell somebody about, when somebody says, tell me about yourself, it's, you know, if you're in a networking event, it's career related, okay? You know, if you've done other things, that's great, but I mean, they want to know what it is. So be prepared to talk about who you are and what you can do. Keep it related to the job, not personal information. So tip number 4, always include contact information. I get emails all the time. Jeff, can you help me out with something? And I don't really know who that person is who's asking me for help. You know, I have to look at the email address. Do I know who this, can I figure out who the name is by looking at the email address? On LinkedIn, as I said before, you want to make sure your phone and email is in the contact information and the summary about statement. Okay, make it easy for somebody to have that information. On an email, this is my information that I include on every email. If I'm looking on from my cell phone, I'm looking on my laptop, if I'm looking on my tablet, whatever it is, I have built a signature line. Make sure in every device you use, you've got something. I used to get communicate with a lady who had moved from Dallas, who moved up to the Chicago area. And right after Christmas, her signature line changed from who she used to be to iPad. And I texted and I took a screenshot, sent it back. I said, did you get a new iPad for Christmas? And she said, yes, I did. How did you know? I said, well, because it was what your signature then became. And she went, oh, I had no idea. So just be aware of who, you know, make it easy. If I reply back to a message, whatever, have it on there. If you're on Gmail, if using a Gmail account, your signature line, if you don't set it up, will show at the very bottom of an email. I send you an email, you reply to me, I send you back an email or something like that. We're correspondents. Your signatures show up at the very, very bottom. There's a feature to change it so it shows with the meeting, so with your message. Because I met somebody once at a Starbucks, and you know, I was telling him, I said, you know, I got your email, but you know, I didn't see your signature line anywhere. Well, the problem was his signature line was appearing at the very, very bottom. And once I saw my email that I had responded back to him, I didn't look down at the bottom anymore. So just be aware of that. I put my phone number, my email address. I mean, I put everything in there because I want to make it easy. If somebody wants to just copy paste, they can copy all that information into Outlook, and then they can sit there and fill all the different Outlook screens. So that's why my email address is even in my signature line. Make sure your display name tells people who you are. That very first one there, WS Cougar 96, that was a person who was thanking everybody in this group for their help and their support when she was in her job search. And I stopped and thought about it, and I went, now I may have some Cougars who used to come to this group. I don't think they were 96 years old. WSU, you know, this happens to be, this was during March Madness a few years ago, and I happened to see the Washington State University. They were the Cougars. She happened to graduate in 1996. And I've told this lady, thank you very much. And I'm going to use this in every presentation I ever give in the future, because this is what you don't want to do. You know, you don't want to be, you know, Mary loves kitty cats at gmail.com. You want something professional. The second one here, Mike Gmail. Mike had no idea that somehow Gmail had changed his last name to Gmail. It worked fine at the beginning, and then somehow some update or something went out. His email address changed to Gmail, and I screenshotted it. I sent it to him. He went, thanks for letting me know. So make sure that you send your email out. You know, you don't want to be BR6 of SSC. I think she was a family of 6. You know, you don't want to be, well, TBC CPA 2. She actually used to be part of this group, but you really don't want to have a Juno account anymore, okay? I mean, that tells people you're OLD. It's just like having an AOL account tells people you're OLD. You know, get a Gmail account. You know, make sure your display name's right. If you need to, you know, send an email to somebody, say, hey, tell me what it looks like. If I happen to see it, if you're sending it to me and it's weird, I'll be sure to let you know what's going on there. All right, let's see here. Tip number 3. Always send a personal note whenever you send a LinkedIn invitation. I think this is a biggie. I get LinkedIn invitations on a daily basis from people. I got 3 of them in the last 24 hours. I don't know why we should connect. I'm not an open networker. You need to tell me why we should connect. Did you see me here on this presentation? Did you see me earlier in this week give a presentation? Do you not like my shirt because it's got too much pattern on it? I don't care. You don't like my beard. Just tell me something. Tell me why we should connect. Give me some reason, and I'll be glad to connect with somebody. Even if you're on your cell phone or tablet, you should be able to do it. Now, I think they've changed. This is a screenshot off an iPhone from a few years ago. I think they've changed that more button to like the little 3 dots or 3 little hamburger thing. But if you click on that, you know, we've always said on LinkedIn, never click on a white connect button. You see a white connect button, click on the person's face, go to their picture, to their profile, and then you'll see a blue connect button. Now, on a mobile device, this blue connect button, if you were to click on it, will send the generic invitation. But if you click on the more button, or the little hamburger, the little 3 dots, up will come personalized invite, and then you can personalize the invitation you're sending. Always send one out, because you've got to tell people why you want to connect. It will make a big difference. All right, number 2, always have a name tag. I've got my name tag on. I actually have multiple name tags. I just think it's important. When you go to a networking meeting, now that you're starting to meet people in person, have your name tag on. Make it easy for somebody to know what your name is, so you don't have to think about it. You know, you want to wear it to all. Wear a name tag to every networking meeting, any job fair you go to. You want to make it easy for somebody else to do it. You can always have more than one. You know, you should have more than one. I have one in my car. I have one in my Friday bag. I've got one in my Wednesday bag when I come to the practice interview team. And you can have different inserts in it depending on where you're attending. Here is one of the 4 name tags that I've got on. today, currently, I've got my lower left one on there, but on Wednesdays, when I come to the practice interview team, I wear the one in the upper left. When I represent my school at career events, I wear the one in the lower right. So depending on where you are, you can have multiple ones, you can customize them, you can change them around. Okay, so let's do a little review here before we hit my number one tip. Number one, prepare, prepare, prepare. Number two used to be have business cards. Now it's make sure your LinkedIn profile is complete, but really now you need, you should have business cards. Analysis paralysis, be careful. You got to be, you can spend too much time trying to figure out what it is you want to do. You just got to sort of jump into it and get things done. Number seven, don't spend all day in front of a computer. Number six, be prepared for an interview. Number five, be ready with your 30-second introduction. So when somebody asks who you are, you can tell somebody what it is you do. Always be sure to include your contact information. Let people know, make it easy for them to reach back out to you. Always send a personal note with invitations on LinkedIn, number three. Number two, always wear a name tag when you go to a networking or you're out in, out in a career event. And my number one tip, we go zipping around here. If you're not early, you're late. 5 minutes early is on time is late. So let me tell you a story. Back when I moved to Texas, the first job I had, I worked at a facility in Irving, Texas. My shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. When you work at night and you rely on the person at 6 a.m. to come in on time, you're ready to go home at 6 o'clock. You don't want to hang out till 6:10 or 6:15 waiting for that next person to come relieve you. Person who was relieving me at 6 o'clock usually didn't show up to 6:05, 6:10 or 6:10, 6:15. So I sort of, this really hardened me in what I was doing. And I actually eventually became her boss. I fixed her of her lateness issue. She didn't have that problem after a while. But, it just, you want to be early. If you're going to an interview someplace, I say you should get to an interview 10 to 15 minutes early. 10 minutes to me is prime time. If I'm driving someplace for an interview, I'll be there a half hour early. Because what if there's an accident? What if there's traffic? There was a time I had an interview once in about 20 miles from here. I actually drove out there the day before because I wanted to know where I was going. This was really before Google Maps and, Street View. I couldn't see what the building looked like. I wanted to have an idea of where I was going, what traffic would be like, to have an idea. So, 5 minutes early is on time's late. Now, that's not my saying. That came from, I think, Bits and Lombardi used to promote that if you were coming to one of his meetings, you better be 5 minutes early because that's when the meeting was scheduled. All right, so here are a few bonus things that we can talk about. I want to share. Form an accountability group. If you're not part of an accountability group, they can really be beneficial in your job search. And the reason being is that you need somebody to sort of hold your feet to the fire. If you're not good at keeping track and doing it on your own, reach out to have somebody else to be able to help them. And they're keeping your feet to the fire. They're keeping your feet to the fire. Now, one of the things about accountability groups is your significant other is not your accountability partner. Okay, you already have to deal with that person, but your accountability group should be a bunch of people. It can be people who are employed. It can be people who are unemployed. It may want to be just people who only do what you do, so you can each sort of help each other. I know there was this one group, and when one saw a job lead, they made sure that they pass it on to everybody else in the group. And when they had interviews, 2 or 3 of these people tended to get the interview, and whoever had the interview first would then call the other 2 people. Hey, they're going to ask you this, and this, because they didn't care who got the job. It was what they cared was that one of the 3 of them got the job. That was the most important thing, that they were there to help each other. So form an accountability group. We've got a whole video on accountability partners or groups and how to do that on the website. In fact, I saw that Monday morning at the Fort Worth Career Search Network, Fort Worth Career Search Network at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. They're going to talk all about accountability groups. So you can watch that presentation live Monday morning. Otherwise, there is one out on the Career USA website or Career USA YouTube channel from the North Dallas group. You can search and you can find that on there. Spend time with employed people. You know, get out of the house, go meet people. If you're, you know, it's fine to hang out, you know, in all these unemployed groups. And back pre-pandemic, there was like 45 different unemployed groups that you could go to. You could go morning, noon, night, 4.5, 5 days a week, and just meet lots of other unemployed people. I used to always recommend, you know, to find the 2 or 3 groups that were the most beneficial to you of unemployed people, but then spend times with employed people. Find the professional group that you deal with. Find whatever it is you do, there's a professional group that meets. Find them, meet them, get to know them, offer to help them out. You know, places of worship, get involved, volunteer, just get out of the house and meet people, because that's how you're going to network. Sign up for a class. Keep up with your skills, have something to talk about when you meet people. Once again, I go back to an interview I had a few weeks ago. I conducted an interview and I asked the person, I said, you know, what, you know, looks like you were laid off. You know, you didn't have a job for like 1.5 years. You know, can you tell me what you did during that period? Oh, well, I got this certification and this certification, and I took this and he had taken 4 or 5 classes and gotten these certifications that helped him in his career. It showed me that he was a lifelong learner, that he didn't just sit at home and watch Ellen and eat bonbons during the day, that he actually did something to better himself so that he would be able to help in a future job. And there's one very, very most important bonus tip that I need to share with everybody. So this is the most important tip. Get ready to take notes. I just think this is just the top tip you can ever do. Be sure to check out CareerDFW and CareerUSA.org, because 2 websites that are there to help you in your job search. So just remember, if you like to, you can join the CareerDFW LinkedIn group. We have a group, our CareerDFW LinkedIn group, with over 14,700 members. I will say that 1 out of 15 of those members work in HR. They're recruiters who are trying to find you. So if you're on LinkedIn, have your profile complete. You can follow us on the CareerDFW Facebook page. If you do that, every time we go live, you'll get a little alert, like here's what's going on live on Facebook. Presentation is, and if you follow us, your phone will give you a little buzz that, hey, we're live right now. Subscribe to our Career USA YouTube channel, and I'll show up the YouTube channel here at the end of this presentation of what's on there. But we've got over 480 videos that have been recorded over the last 3 years, so it's on there to check out. CareerDFW, CareerUSA.org survives on donations. All the proceeds from the book sales go to support the website or support what we're doing. You know, please consider making a donation when you land your next great opportunity. We're providing training 4 days a week. LinkedIn on Tuesday, every Tuesday, LinkedIn every Wednesday, interviewing every Thursday, effective resumes resumes or networking, and then every Friday morning, this meeting here. And we'll go into more details as far as what's the actual program coming up here in just a second. If you know somebody who's looking for a speaker, if you're out of town and your group's looking for a career speaker, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to do this or many other presentations. I've got 4 or 5 presentations I can give, and I'd be glad to help anybody who's out there. So let me switch back over to here again. Any questions, any comments anybody has out there? You're welcome to unmute your mic and ask away. Questions? All right, well, let me just share a few more slides and we will be done for the day. If you've not put your 30-second introductions into the Zoom chat window, please do. Please let us know who you are, phone number, email address. I'm going to copy all these emails, all this information. I'll put it into an email that goes out this afternoon to everybody. I'll be sure to add, Rosanna, add that career assessment you can take at mynextmove.org. I'll include that in the email, all the details. So please be sure to include your information in the chat window so we can update our roster. CareerDFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Let me something out of here. I can see what's going on. There we go. Next Tuesday, Terry Sullivan will be with us to talk about how to create a LinkedIn brand that tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. Terry does not allow his presentations to be recorded, so if you want to watch it, you will need to watch it live next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Next Wednesday, Practice Interview team will be meeting live and in person only. Come join us. You learn a lot by watching, even if you're not being the person being interviewed, watching somebody else being interviewed, you will learn things. You will hear somebody say something. That was just great the way they put it, the way they said it. It's always very fascinating. So come join us. Our next online session will be on April 26th, fourth Friday. It'll be in a week and a half. So please feel free to come, come join us next Wednesday at the track. We had 11 people show up last week. It was great. They're meeting in person. Like I said, Christ United Methodist Church, 3101 Coit Road. It's at 1 o'clock. And you'll be out of here by 3 o'clock. There is no online option next Wednesday. Next Thursday, being the third Thursday of the month, or third Thursday, we will talk all about effective resumes. We've got a speaker who will share their thoughts on effective resumes. Primarily, these are resumes that you're going to fill out for an ATS, but it's also just good basic resume techniques that you want to consider. This session has been recorded. It will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, as I mentioned earlier, click on playlists because there's over 480 videos there. At the very bottom where you see, pick whichever playlist you want. There's 7 different playlists. If you pick one of them from the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, at the very bottom, click on View Full Playlist. When you do that, scroll down and you can see all the titles that are there. You can see everything that's going on. The one thing I will say is that if you're watching any of them from the North Dallas group, please be sure you're going to want to go about 25 to 30 minutes into the video to where the speaker starts when you want to watch that. Come join us today for lunch. You got to eat lunch. 11:45, we will be at Country Burger, 3115 West Parker Road, northwest corner of Parker at Independence. Burgers, chicken, salad, more. Just come join us. Great food, and you'll be able to, we'll come be able to chit chat and find out more about you. All right, so everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. Everybody, have a great weekend. For those online, we will see you all next week. For those that are sitting here in person, we're going to sit here and chit chat with everybody. And sorry that everybody here is missing that. So everybody, have a great week.